Today I'm going to tell you the story of Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time there was a little girl who was loved by everybody. She was especially loved by her grandmother, who made her a little red cloak that she loved so much she never wore anything else. So she got the name Little Red Riding Hood. One day her mother called her, "Little Red Riding Hood, please take this basket of goodies to your grandmother in the woods. She is ill and she is not feeling well. Please go straight to your grandmother's house. Do not loiter, and do not run, for if you fall you will ruin all these goodies." "I will do just as you say," said Little Red Riding Hood, and she went off into the woods. Once she arrived in the woods, she came upon the wolf, and she did not know how wicked he was, so she wasn't afraid of him at all. "Good morning, Little Red Riding Hood," said the wolf. "Good morning, Wolf. And where are you off to so early this morning?" "I'm off to grandmother's house. She is sick, so I'm taking her some goodies." "And what is it that you have in your basket, Little Red Riding Hood?" the wolf asked. "Oh, well, we baked some cake yesterday, so I'm taking her some cake with some milk." "And where does your grandmother live, Little Red Riding Hood?" the wolf asked. "Oh, she lives a little ways into the forest, between 3 oak trees, right next to the trees that produce nuts. You must know 'em." Upon this the wolf had a thought. Little Red Riding Hood would make a tasty meal, but I should be cunning and snap up the grandma as well. So the wolf walks along with Little Red Riding Hood, and he says to her, "Little Red Riding Hood, don't you notice these beautiful flowers? Do you not hear the birds sing? You are walking so solemnly, it was as if you were going to school." So Little Red Riding Hood stops, and the sun through the trees brightens up the most beautiful flowers, and so she thinks to herself, "Well, there's still plenty of time. I can pick some flowers for Grandma. She'll like that." So she trails off the path further into the woods, picking flower after flower. Meanwhile, the wolf heads straight to the grandmother's house. He knocks on the door, and the grandma says, "Who is it?" The wolf replies, "It's me, Little Red Riding Hood. Please let me in." The grandmother says, "I'm much too sick to get out of bed. Just lift the latch." So the wolf opens the door, goes straight to the bed, and swallows the grandmother whole. He then puts on her cap and her dress, gets in the bed, and pulls the covers close. Little Red Riding Hood notices that she's been out for a while and she cannot pick any more flowers, so she starts to head to her grandmother's house. Once she gets there, she notices that the door is open, and this is strange. Upon entering the house, Little Red Riding Hood is scared, and she's not quite sure why. She goes into her grandmother's room and pulls back the covers. She notices that her grandmother has her cap pulled way low, and she looks strange. "Grandmother," Little Red Riding Hood said, "what big ears you have." "Oh, the better to hear you with, my dear," replies the wolf. "Grandmother, what big eyes you have," she says, and the wolf replies, "Oh, the better to see you with, my dear." "Grandmother, what big hands you have," and the wolf says, "Oh, just the better to hold you with, my dear." Finally, Little Red Riding Hood said, "But Grandma, what big teeth you have," and the wolf says, "The better to eat you with, my dear." And Little Red Riding Hood had no time to react before the wolf grabbed her and swallowed her whole. There is a woodsman walking through the woods, and he hears the wolf snoring, but he thinks it's the old lady, and he thinks to himself, "Is she sick? She is snoring so loudly, I should go check on her." So he goes in to check on her, and he notices the wolf sleeping in his bed. Now, he has been looking for this wolf for quite some time. So he's ready to shoot him. He has his gun, but he's thinking, if the wolf ate the grandmother, I might still be able to save her. So he opens the sleeping wolf's mouth up wide, and the first thing he sees is Little Red Riding Hood's cape. So he pulled her out, and she cries, "Oh, thank goodness, I was so frightened. It was so dark inside the wolf." And then he pulls the grandmother out, who's really shaken up, but she's still breathing. Just then, the wolf starts to wake up, and he sees the hunter, and he is so frightened that he falls over and dies. So after that, everybody is quite happy. The hunter takes the wolf back to his house, Grandmother and Little Red Riding Hood enjoy the rest of their afternoon, and Little Red Riding Hood thinks to herself, "From now on, I will never wander into the woods when my mother tells me not to." The end.